That's how we start streams here in the professional sphere. Hello everyone, welcome to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Joining me as always to discuss some things, although I have done literally zero prep for this stream, is TrupsLP. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
You had to do that, didn't you?
Yes.
When I go and sort this out afterwards for Spotify, I have to go to that bit just there and turn it down. No,
I'm
it's fine.
sorry.
It's fine. No, it's
I did a slightly louder voice than usual.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I don't mind. How is Trups today?
I'm fine. It's one of those work Fridays, so I'm still a bit tired, but I just finished my coffee.
Lucky bastard. I miss coffee. I have a nearly empty bottle of water. Does that count? How about a bottle of disinfectant? That's some alcohol in it. That count?
It depends. What are you trying to do with it?
Hey, look, Dettol says it kills coronavirus. My sister has it. All I'm saying is get a syringe. No, I'm not saying. No. No, I'm not going to suggest anything with this. Actually,
Did you hear there was actually a bit of coronavirus news recently? Actually.
Oh.
Yeah, apparently there's an outbreak in China and in Europe, and it's starting in the United States too.
They really do pick their moments, don't they?
Always. It's always so convenient.
Given the scope for what's going on right now in this country, I don't think the government is going to push for a lockdown. So they're going to encourage more people to get boosters and get on with it. For those who don't know, there's an update in my own household. In fact, my older sister, who lives here, she on Saturday morning tested positive for Putin'S. She was hit pretty hard. I took my niece, because of that, to gymnastics, which I brought a book and I thought, I won't watch, because I was up in a viewing area above the area, rather large, formerly a basketball gymnasium-sized room. You can see where the hoops are. But I actually watched the whole thing. It was fascinating, and I really enjoyed watching her do this. But during that, I noticed I was starting to suffer from symptoms that were similar. And I was like, uh-oh. So I got my niece home, tested again, negative. Yet throughout the day, my body started to ache more. I got tired, which made no sense. Everyone knows I'm an insomniac, so it does, unless it's medically induced, I don't sleep. Thankfully, I am still negative. But I thought perhaps it was my body's way of either fighting something preemptively, or my body was thinking, oh, you've got it as well now? No, fucking don't. You can piss right off. I got far too much to do to be put down by that bullcrap. But a week later, sadly, my sister still has it, which is unfortunate because she hasn't been able to work, which has meant I have been a bit ragged. But it's fine because I had the day off tomorrow after my morning cleaning of a pub. But beyond that, I'm excited for that. Interestingly, in the UK, though, as you've mentioned, coronavirus on the rise. It is on the rise. In the UK, it went up from 3.3 million last week up to 4.3 this week, I believe. I will get
something like that. Yeah.
Let's get the numbers here. For the week ending on the 19th of March, so that's what the figures are for. They're thought to give the most accurate reflection of what's happening with the virus in the community. Swab tests currently suggest that 1 in every 16 people are infected, as the Omicron variant BA.2, apparently has a bachelor's in arts, continues to... It's not even a good degree, it's a 2. 2-1, 2-2, that's rubbish. Continues to spread. So the rates in England, Wales, Scotland have reached a new high. However, they have been decreasing over here in the Northern Ireland area. In England, they're up 6.4% from 4.9% last week. Wales, 6.4% up from 4.1%. Scotland, 9% up from 7.15%. So the current infection rate is actually nearing a record level in this country. Yet, not many people are talking about this. Not only are not many people talking about this, but there isn't much talk about going back. It's not going to get much coverage. No plan to get us back into lockdowns or restrictions. I would have thought with the infections as high as they are, regardless of what the government is trying to push, they would already have done something extra, like, say, bring back the masks. I have one sat on my desk in my desk tidy. I have these two mini these units that sit on my desk where my monitors sit on top of each, and they have underneath shelving. I have a mask in one of them. I mean, if they bring them back, I wouldn't be surprised. Your BA isn't a good degree either. I have a friend who has a BA, MA, and a PhD, and all three are in nonsense. And I like to remind you of this. Hell, I got him a custom mug of one because I thought it was so stupid.
What, a business degree?
Bachelor's or Master's in Arts.
Oh,
so
depends on the kind of art.
Humanities degrees, basically. I've always, obviously I'm older. I don't really care so much now. I think, do whatever you want. I couldn't care less. When I was at university, people were always saying to me they only went to university to get a good degree, to say they had a degree. I wanted a degree because I wanted to be something else. I didn't want, and to get where I wanted to go, I needed a degree. I didn't want to have it just cause. It's why I chose chemistry. I wanted to be the very best, like no one ever was. Don't sing the rest.
Damn it.
Right. But yeah, COVID in the United Kingdom is up on the rise, and there hasn't been much COVID conversation. This week, we had the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He instead gave a budget statement. I'll pull it up in a minute so we have something to go on. What's COVID been like in your country?
Well, so according to the CDC, this Omicron subvariant, ironically named BA.2, is apparently representing more than 34% of COVID-19 infections in America. Apparently, it spreads 80% faster than earlier Omicron.
Okay.
But Fauci says that he doesn't expect another surge for now, which is weird because have you heard much from this man since Ukraine started? Because I haven't.
I haven't heard anything from that godly man who has a movie about him.
There's a movie? Oh, right.
I want the figurine. I swear down, I want it. I want that.
I don't.
I was
mad enough.
I
was mad when I fucking went to, Walmart and Target, and I kept seeing just this standard, nondescript doctor, and it was like a pop figure for first responders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was, by the way, I think that if I went to the store right now, that I would still see those sitting on the shelves because no one fucking bought them.
Oh yeah, I see. The ones with the masks on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at them right now because I typed in Fauci Pop Vinyl, Pop Funko, and the second image, Pop Funko did global giving. Thank you for your frontline heroes in Scrubs.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want one of those, I'd want it to literally like the guys from Scrubs, like JD and Turk.
Mm-hmm. I would want that one. I guess it would be like a gift that you could give somebody.
I mean, get to a doctor, someone who is a doctor. That's kind of cool. I'd like that. Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you could do that.
But I don't.
And that would be fine and dandy. But
yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's.
I need to see this Fauci figure that you're talking about.
Oh yeah, you'll see it. The bubble. It's a bubble. It's the bobblehead one, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Excuse me. Hold on.
Okay, there's a Pelosi one as well, by the way.
I'm muted so that you didn't have to balance my sneeze.
Well, there's a Pelosi one and there's a Biden one as well. A Kamala Harris one that looks more like a. Let's not talk about
the
that.
Indian black lady.
Yep. There are a few. For those who don't know, by all means, go look them up if you're interested in supporting your favorite bullshit artist.
Yeah, basically. Not only that, but there's also I believe there was one of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but it was a different figure. I think I sent it to you actually when I was in Seattle.
I was so expecting a rigor mortis death joke there. I was expecting something darker.
She was alive at that point.
Could you tell the difference though?
No. No, the soulless eyes of the doll mimic the eventual soulless eyes of the
I'm
horse.
not going to dunk on Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was quite a
Something.
pioneer.
She was something,
She
certainly.
was a trailblazer.
But yeah, for the COVID thing, there was a comment that was made at one point by Fauci. I believe it was something along the lines of, the U.S. People are going to be acting as normal, but be prepared if we have to for another lockdown. And everyone who heard that basically laughed in his face, said, "Ha ha ha! You are not getting shit from us anymore."
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that sentiment will probably be echoed in the chat too, because honestly, at this point, they have done such a disservice to their own image that even if something terrible were to happen, nobody would fucking believe them anymore.
Honestly, no, I don't think anyone would. At this point, it's gone past a point of no return.
Oh yeah, and nobody can blame them because you might not have seen it. Okay, the CDC wiped like a quarter of the child deaths from the record, citing a coding error as another example of we're supposed to trust them, cuz.
That's a bit sus. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I thought. But apparently, that's not something that we plebs have to worry about, because if you bring up why and say, "What do you mean coding error?" they'll just say, "Oh yeah, they happen all the time," and we're like,
It depends.
"No."
I'll be honest. It depends on how much they scrubbed. I can understand if some records are duplicates. That accidents in that instance could happen. But I think we'd have to know exactly what they mean. And because they've used nebulous language, we'll never know what they mean. And the way the system is being operated, I doubt there'll ever be any kind of accountability on that one.
Oh, of course not. There's no accountability for any like government organization anymore. Like, the more that we've gone through the last year, or honestly, year or two, I realized even more so than before how bullshit everything, and I mean everything, is. Like, I have become so dissuaded, from just the whole system, that at this point it's almost laughable to hear any of the comments that they make and giving them like a shred of credibility.
So,
like, I just can't do more.
In the chat, Chaos, it's because the forms they have for medical professionals reporting is so vague. So basically, I was right. Nebulous. Yes. It's all about. It's straight up. It's always been that way. In the
right,
UK,
but I remember we had made that comment a while ago. We were like, okay, so COVID deaths, is it COVID with COVID, or did they die and COVID was found? No one could ever answer that question well enough.
The inaccurate reporting to inflate numbers to suit whatever agenda one was pushing. When Paul Joseph Watson more vocally said it was done as a means to push the idea that the government wanted to control people. In the UK, that was easier said than done, really. Well, easier done and said, really, because in the UK, they were able to enact a law and control us straight away. And there was so little resistance because we're not. The country mostly is not that kind of country. There isn't. There were protests, of course, but they weren't a majority protest, no, or a large enough presence to be considered concerning. More, you're the anti-vaxxers. That's not. There wasn't a vaccine then, but that kind of crowd, the conspiracy theorists. You got David Icke in your group, therefore you lot crackpots. All right.
Also, to address Chaos, coding error translates to "we can't hire professionals to write our forms clearly." No, I think it's actually even worse than that. It's we have reduced our liability by intentionally making these forms vague.
Without proof, though, this is merely a guess. Educated guess.
This would just be a wise decision. Like, if I were an insurance company, right? For liability for professionals. I personally would not make anything too specific, because if I needed to argue something out in court and save my client's ass, I would need there to be as much wiggle room as possible.
Of course.
So that I could save their ass.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I believe them to be intentionally written vague. So that in cases like this, no one can be held legally liable for misrepresenting data.
Yeah. No, you are right.
But
I thought I'd just insert it just for other people. For the sake of disclaimer, I don't want to get into trouble.
True.
You can't risk
Oh
it
no,
on YouTube
I'm just saying that's what I personally feel, Chaos. Not that I can prove it, but I can go through enough liability companies, and I probably can talk to enough lawyers.
I would say you're right to challenge that, Chaos, but for the sake of this stream, we do not have the time.
And you might be right. This time I can very confidently say I'm acting on a feeling. This is a thing I feel, not necessarily something that I have based on. This would be more of a food for thought kind of a thing. But yeah, no, I mean,
do I sense a video in your channel's future?
Fuck no, not like that. Okay. Can you imagine the amount of like boredom that people would feel coming to my channel? And
I mean, they would, but
legal documents.
You would okay, so for those who don't know, on during the week, Trups was messaging me on Twitter, which is he doesn't do that, and he showed me some tweets involving somebody that used to frequent these chats, a former patron of mine, in fact. If you're watching, Euthio, hi, love you.
I miss you.
And I mentioned that I was somewhat nostalgic. It was a bit nostalgic seeing them there, but also miss people like that because it used to be a bit of a gag that whenever Trup spoke, he got all the heat. Not me. I don't generally. I think once I've had somebody, but it was a troll. I didn't really give a shit. Maybe twice. But Trups gets all the flack because he's a far right reactionary fuckwit. Apparently.
Yes, those words.
According to other people, I'm a far right delusional paranoid. Yeah, both of those.
I don't know where you sit on the political spectrum. I'm gonna be honest, and I've been doing this show with you for a hot.
I try my best. All right, I don't know, but yeah, we used to get a lot of people that would be like that, and Trupp sent me showing me how far off the deep end this former patron of mine has gone, and I love it because it's nice to see people embracing that, what they think is to them organic, and natural to them. Which is great because it means they're going to be at least in their head honest, but also in another sense, great for me because then I get to point and laugh at you. Just saying it now.
Emphasis on that last part because that's really the part that gets me hyped.
Is that why you sent it to me?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I completely sent it to you to show you just how crazy your former patron was.
Yeah. I miss you, Eufio, and your money. I don't know. It's amusing.
I never saw a cent. I just miss you for the arguments.
I do miss those because that was
those comments rolling.
That was before Spotify as well, wasn't it? It was before we started uploading to RSS feed, which uploads it then to Spotify. So it was before then. We never really had the banter that wouldn't have made any sense on Spotify. By the way, to the 209 people that follow us on Spotify, thank you very much.
Yes, hello and thank you.
Yes, the goal of this year is to try and get up to 250. So if you're not a follower, please consider doing so. It is linked somewhere. I don't know where. It's on the main channel page.
Now, what's funny about all of this, though, is that I've actually had a bit of an issue when it comes to how I handle myself on Twitter, because I have in my bio it says I'm a right-leaning centrist, right? And so this would entail that I have centrist positions and I lean more to the right side of those things, right?
Yeah.
However, the more I engage with people on Twitter, the more I question how far to the right I actually am. So I have to do a couple of times where I have to sit there and go, okay, what is it exactly that I believe about X policy? And basically what I've come down to is the fact that I have maintained pretty much the same opinions throughout the majority of my life. and everyone else has gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
Like, I was always a proponent of, like, I was against illegal immigration. That wasn't a weird thing for a while,
Mm.
right? And then when Trump got into office, that became a right wing thing.
Yeah,
It was a centrist thing.
it's a strange one because no, I don't think about the previous presidents. Any of them, did any of them ever say, "I'm all for open borders"?
Not outright, no. Like,
Did
some of their
anyone
policies might have leaned that way, but outright they always said that they were in it for
Because
the
your job as
Americans.
president is to protect your country and the people within it, not to say, "Oi, everyone, come over here."
Right, exactly.
That's more of a secondary. Like, you can come here, but you've got to pass these tests first to prove yourself. By the way, I am fully in favour of immigration, legal immigration. And
Right.
when it comes to refugees, I am fully in
Mhm.
favour of supporting refugees if we can.
Yeah.
It's a strange one. I've also, if people say I'm anti-immigration or anything, I also fully said that every single person that lives in Hong Kong can come to England, and there's millions of them. I don't care.
Mhm.
Honestly, I think that's fine. We'll make a Hong Kong for them. I don't give a shit.
Right. But, like, these were the things that I had to sit there and think. I'm like, am I actually as right as people think I am? And the answer is no. I mean, I have very strong opinions when I do have opinions, but absolutely not. Like, I'm not the, the crazy, like, neo-fascist that they think I am. Ironically, just strictly speaking, looking at their policies, they're closer to fascism than I ever was.
The nearest he gets to fascist is when he dresses up as a Squid Game thingy for laughing.
Oh, you mean like?
The
Oh,
mascot,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. When I put on the Space Marine outfit, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, because that was one of the things that definitely, like, I had to think about, because I was like, my policy position's that weird? And basically the answer is no. Um, and no matter what, it doesn't matter who I talk to, like, from what country, they're all like, you're far right, or you're one person said that I was a dog because they were calling one of the comments that Judge Jackson was found to have said as a dog whistle. So
I thought that
that was fun.
I thought they were trying to be racist for a second there. I wasn't sure if dog could be used as a slur, so I did need you to confirm that.
I mean, it can totally. Um,
That
but yeah,
sounds like a push.
yeah, it does. But actually, no, while we're talking about Judge Jackson, you want to talk about that? So
Okay, yeah. So your new Supreme Court thingy.
okay, so
I've set you
for the
up. There you
past
go.
week, yeah, for the past week, we've had Supreme Court hearings, or hearings on a nominee for the replacement for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is, oh, I'm sorry, not no, not that one. God, he just retired. He was the conservative judge. Sorry, the Democratic judge who just retired, and there was a whole spiel because he didn't announce his retirement outright. Somebody else found out. Anyway, him. Uh, and so they're holding hearings for Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? And she is a federal judge. She graduated Harvard. She's got just lists and pages of like good marks for her to be an easy confirmation. Both sides should agree, right? Totally. Um, and at first, I think all things were going pretty well in their favor. However, there was an issue as people started to look into their judicial history. Um, so they have a bad habit.
Right.
Bad habits are hard to break, but in this case, I think that most people would agree that this is probably not a good thing. So Judge Ketanji Jackson has a bad habit of, every time there is a child exploitation charge brought before her, to give the individual the not only the minimum sentence, but far below the minimum
Oh,
sentence.
below the recommended sentence then.
Yes, the
Where's she
federal
from?
guidance. Where is she from? I have no idea.
Okay, because I know that
All I know,
there's
but
some DAs in like Chicago and stuff, and have been pushing really low sentences, and it's a bit weak. I always
well,
you should always at least give the minimum.
this is a while ago. Like she's had cases all the way back to I think 2004, right? So she's got quite a history. That's not just like current politics.
Right.
She has a history of this even before the crime is okay trend. Um, so Senator Hawley kept making he brought attention to one in particular, one of the issues. And so I'm trying to pull up exactly what it was. So it was an 18-year-old who distributed such things onto YouTube and was caught. The police then raided the guy's house, found, I think it was over 600 videos,
Oh no.
according to
This is prison.
the. Oh right, yeah. That's what normal people would say.
I say it based on a recent Halls of Injustice I did on a guy in America who got 22 years. And he got 22 years for child prawn and animal prawn.
I think I know who you're talking about too.
Prentice Madden. That's his
Yeah.
name. Yeah. There are anyone, if you are in possession of child prawn or you are caught with it, it's not just sent, but you also just have it. You've been getting it, downloading it. No, prison. Bye. Straight up, you're going to prison and immediate castration. But that's just me.
Sure, and people say I'm the crazy one. No. I agree.
I'm the crazy one when I remove their testicles and feed them to the dogs. They were also having sex. No.
Gross.
Yeah, well, Prentice Madden did that. We didn't. Didn't have it removed. But yeah.
Well.
Sorry, but yeah, no. There is an instance there in Alabama or Florida, Alabama. I know he came from Florida. Whatever. Where someone did go to prison because they were rightly sentenced, although the sentence was maximum 82 years, so 87. They got 22, so it was fairly light.
Yeah, of course. Well, unfortunately, I have some bad news.
Oh, go on.
This judge sentenced that person to 3 months.
Fuck off. Get
3 months.
Get the fuck into prison and turn that 3 months into 30 years. Ta-ta, sayonara, you little bitch.
That's the thing, and that's why so many people were confused, because ordinarily this would be an open and shut case, clear as day, that this person should go away for. I think even the prosecution and the defense had agreed for like 3 or 4 years, I think, and like I think the prosecution had originally recommended
how old and how many previous offenses, I wonder.
He was 18, and I do not know the amount of previous offenses.
So I'm going to say
assume
that's
0.
More than likely, the age is the reason that sentence is as low as it is. I don't agree with that, but that's why. You know that. That's why. Oh, I can't put an 18 away.
Oh yeah, but it's even worse than that, because in her closing statements, right, she apologized to the guy for by saying, "Oh, you know, I'm sorry for you and your family that you guys had to go through this, and that sex offenders are truly a marginalized group in our society." And I'm like, who the fuck are you advocating for?
What? Disbar that cunt.
right?
defrock them, remove them from power. That is so stupid.
Now, the argument from the other side on this is that conservatives have approved judges with the same kind of record when they do like systematic like lesser sentences for things like that. I'm like, yeah, they're bad too.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
That's bad too. Both can be true. like you can have two things on opposite sides of the aisle that are still bad.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say with regards to that sentence, you mentioned a lot of videos, yeah. There was possession for a considerable amount of child porn, yes. Yep. So my view is the age of the defendant. Is that it? Yeah. That is not that in the context of that is not a mitigating factor. If the argument is the person was groomed to do this, you would have to prove that separately. I doubt that was proven at all. If they are apologizing to the person, the defendant, and the defendant's family, they have taken pity. They've let emotion dictate what they do in a professional level. And that is not how the justice is supposed to be blind, not influenced. And I know, you're just being an idealist. I am. Which is why I'm happy to complain about this, because this is wrong. That individual should be in prison for a while. Simple as that. Yeah. Even if it's the bare minimum that the prosecution and the defense agreed on. I don't care. They should be in prison and they should get therapy. Not get an apology from the judge for wasting time and being marginalized. That's not healthy, by the way. Because now you run the risk of that child, or adult now, reoffending because they think what they did was okay. They need to be not necessarily reprogrammed, and of course I don't mean some kind of conversion therapy with electrodes to their testicles. I mean they need to go through therapy. They need to sit down with a psychiatrist and deal with this. Get it out and get rid of it and move on. Right. Or at best, push it down far enough that they can live a close to normal life. And the best way to start that is to learn a very harsh lesson via incarceration. Simple as
unfortunately, this was the statements made by all of them, and Judge Jackson did try and defend herself regarding that, saying that I take every case very seriously, and I, as a mother, I am very, very concerned about the victims. Keep in mind, by the way, that some of the people engaged in the videos that was on this guy's computer were as young as 8.
Yeah, no. She didn't cover the victims in that context.
No, she didn't, and she dared make the claim that she did, which was one reason why a lot of people said, you know what, fuck her, dude. I don't want to see her.
There were people during the week, and this is the only thing I knew about this person. That said that she was the most overqualified person for the job, like the most clearly qualified. Is that true?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, she's got the history. Yeah.
I'm not using
and
that,
like the experience for spades.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like she's got plenty.
I'm not now, by the way, going to use that to create an argument or set up a straw man, because there's an obvious one there. I'm also not going to use any kind of appeal to authority, because that's what many people have used on social media as a way of saying, but she's the right person. I'm sure she is. But that case is as fucked up as the former is it district attorney or what was Harris again?
She was the attorney general of
General in California. Yeah, no, that's as fucked up as that. Well, not as comparably fucked up, but it's another really fucked up. Another really fucked up situation, and it's yet again somebody in power. I know everyone has demons. Demons at the cost of lives. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. Telling.
Yes, quite telling. Now, somebody also alluded to this in the chat, but she was also asked by Senator Marsha Blackburn, can you define what the word woman means?
Oh God.
And she goes, I can't. I'm not a biologist. Which has spawned all of the memes that you are currently seeing on Twitter.
Emotional damage.
Where people claim to not be able to understand basic things.
This is like that's like Kamala Harris explaining the situation in Ukraine in that really when she was told to do it in such a way that in layman's terms that was it, and she said it so simplistically. I thought she had Downs. You know the clips; it's in our server.
Oh, I know it very well. Yes.
And I don't mean if anyone knows someone has Downs or they themselves. I don't mean that. It's not. Shut up. Don't be so sensitive, okay?
Shut up.
Don't be so sensitive.
Be quiet,
yeah, be quiet. Your opinion doesn't matter. No, I'm kidding. It's not that. It's don't be so sensitive. You know what I mean. Someone speaking in such a way, they suffer from a form of mental retardation, and that is, yeah, that's what it was. It was hilarious because in that instance, she was clearly not prepared. Okay. Immediate follow-up should have been, are you a woman? Oh, the answer to that, though, is I identify as one, but that doesn't mean I know what a woman is. That's what she would have said.
That would be the politically correct answer if I were to have guessed.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're doing that, are we? This is the, again, biological sex, gender thing. That's become a big argument in the UK. One of our politicians, Liz Truss, she's pushing... for this to be nixed. This identifying bollocks needs to go quickly in the Conservatives' mind, and I'm not going to draw a line in the sand on it. I'm going to let this one play out because I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued because, well, people are very divided on it, and it's interesting because the way society has moved, I kind of want to see how this one unfolds because I like watching chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But the Conservatives are very anti this wokeness. Well,
now some people have commented that actually there's a very easy definition of woman.
What is it?
An adult human female.
That's actually quite simple.
And then, of course, that gets to the question of, okay, well, what is female?
Yeah. Is female biological or is it identified?
Well, then at that point, you can actually have that debate because at least in most cases, current society is a little bit more accepting to the idea that female can be interpreted. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not, individuals here agree with that, it's another story.
What about, so when it comes to identification, what are your thoughts? And it's become a bit of a growing issue in some of the states in your country. What about children? Can they identify? Can they make these identifications, or should it be? How about once you've gone through puberty, then you can deal with that?
Well, at that point, they usually impose a legal, discretion where you can actually decide for yourself, like you are. Considered legally independent, and at that point for the United States, that's federally 18 years old.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I find I'm not really, as I've mentioned many times, I'm not involved in any of this on purpose because I know how divisive it is, and as a creator who has it as a job, I have to know when to back off. And I have an opinion, but I won't share it because I know damn well I could get into trouble with some people. That doesn't mean I think the opposite of what you think. Or what anyone listening thinks. No, it just means I know I will alienate people and I don't want to. I want to be welcoming and inclusive, so I will happily sit back and let people discuss and debate it as much as they want. Trupso doesn't give a shit.
No, I don't. But at the same time, I also accept that I'm going to say there's complications with the argument, and it does stem from where the trans movement goes, because it's not necessarily a question of whether or not trans men or trans women are women, but rather, okay, why do you call them that word if there's no difference? right? So if the argument is that I cannot define what a woman is because the implications of my definition would alienate a certain subsect of society, then how do you know that a person is or is not trans in the first place? And then how do you enact protections for people of that classification? It gets really murky because at that point, then you have the argument, well, okay, if that's the case, where it's impossible to differentiate between the two, then how do you have any kind of separation in terms of like affirmative action? We need to hire more women. Well, okay, explain.
Affirmative action cracked me up so much because I know people who got their jobs because of it in this country, and they felt like they were the most important people in the world until other people that have worked there for decades simply walked up to them and said, unlike you, I earned everything I got to get to where I am, and you only got here because of your genitals. You're the equivalent to someone who fucked their way to the top, except you didn't have to put out.
Yes, but then that's where everything gets really, really complicated. So yes, affirmative action then gets questioned. The gender pay gap then gets really funny. Because what do you mean they get paid less? They're the same. And at that point, people would call you pedantic.
Yes.
Because they no longer wish to engage in the conversation. I know this very well. Because I engage in such conversations.
You can't help it. You just see he's like a magnet, and he's like, yo, I need to be involved in this. Let me go and say something and get blocked or banned.
But also, I have there's one piece of this that I have always had a very, very strong opinion on. I disagree, as you might imagine, with individuals who look at a child and go, they are more masculine if they are, female, or they're more of a effeminate guy. They must be trans, right?
Definitely tomboy.
So, right. That's so fucked up because they're children. They don't know what they are yet because they're just doing what they want to do, and it's the purest form of want and wish that they just do that. We're the ones corrupted by politics and knowledge and wisdom, right? Okay. So then, unfortunately, this has spawned in an entire erasure of effeminate guys doing their thing, but more in the case of masculine women. I use the tomboy as my quintessential explanation because my mother calls herself a tomboy, because when she was younger, she was the type of person who would actually go out onto a farm and actually, get on the horse, didn't mind getting dirty, would load hay bales, all that kind of shit. And she did not care that, she was not doing things that were quote unquote typically effeminate, or that she wasn't doing those things. So we've essentially taken all the possibility of having a individual who would be considered a tomboy in today's standards, and we've called them trans, and I don't like that. I think it's just better if the person, and this is where you can't even mention this shit around kids, because they will latch on to whomever they see as an authority figure, a moral authority, a comfort authority, that kind of thing, like parents, teachers, etc. You cannot kind of bring this stuff around kids, because they will see what you have to say about it, and they will latch on to that idea.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Well, they will want to make you happy.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do. It's always the same thing with the berries. By the way, it's quite a tangent, from the Supreme Court justice. Is that what she is now?
Yeah, sorry.
So no, it's quite all right actually. It's a good one because it raises interesting points, and it also got the chat fired up. Um, and just to answer Renovatio, I can't answer your question because I have to go look into it. I did not know this subject would crop up, so do forgive me if I can't give you an answer. Now that you've asked two separate questions, one as a follow-up to another, I have no preparation and cannot give you an answer. So do forgive me, but I'm going to now not answer you.
I think the answer is technically depends on the state, because I know that Iowa just passed a law that said you cannot treat a child with any kind of hormone therapy or anything
I
that
was
would.
only thinking UK. I don't know much about the US at the best of times.
Well,
But yeah,
at least in
it's a
that
good
one,
point.
I do know the answer for that one.
Well, in that case, I defer.
Well, I mean, that's about all I can really
So
say about it, unfortunately.
with regards to the new nominee, new Supreme
Mhm.
Court justice or activist, whatever you want to call this individual.
Sure.
Well, I was referring to the chat there. With regards to
Yeah.
this person, does that person now provide a Democrat swing in the Supreme Court, or are they just a replacement for Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Um, I really have to get that correct because hold on, let me retire. Because that's not correct. It's not Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's Stephen Breyer.
Oh,
Sorry.
my mistake.
I wanted to make sure that I got that right because I had buried that one and tried to
Okay,
move on from
okay.
it, but I should have
Well,
gotten that.
if they're a replacement, then there's no swing in political affiliation, then, correct?
That's correct. That's
And
correct.
then this is fine, to be honest, because it's not a huge issue. Um,
Right.
it'd be interesting to see what kind of Supreme Court justice they become,
Mhm.
but only time will tell on that front. I thought
Right.
perhaps what I could do now is quickly
Mhm.
go over before we maybe touch on, well, Ukraine, I guess. It is in the thumbnail after all.
True.
The after PMQs, Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who sounds like Tony Blair, and yeah, he gave a budget statement, which is where we know where money's being spent and what the taxes will be. So the state of the economy, the UK economy is expected to grow by 3.8% this year, down from its previous prediction of 6%. Nice. Annual inflation was 6.2% in February. It's likely to peak at 8.7% by the end of this year. That's not good. Unemployment is going down. Debt as a percentage of GDP is expected to fall from 83.5% of GDP to 79.8%. That's a huge amount of debt as a percentage. The government is forecast to spend £83 billion on debt interest in the next financial year, which is the highest on record. Nice. Taxation. Income threshold will rise to 12,570 in July, which is a tax cut worth about £330 a year. Raises the tax. Well, it's basically you can earn 12,570 before you pay taxes.
Mhm.
Employment allowance, which gives relief to small businesses, will increase. That's all right. And he has pledged to cut basic rate of income tax from 20p to 19p in the pound before the end of his parliament. How exciting. Now, there were some criticisms because the government wanted to offer this money to help with the energy issues. They keep calling it a crisis. I fucking hate the word crisis now. By saying,
Right.
"Oh, we'll give all these households £200 that you have to pay back to help with your energy costs." Right. Well, energy costs are expected to go up by £500. That £200 covers 40% of it, and we still have to pay the extra 60% and pay you back. I think we're going to decline for the sake of it. They're also offering families a percentage of money to get these more energy efficient boilers and stuff installed in your home. Well, the money they're offering doesn't cover it anyway. And Bloke with Superpowers, thank you to you and Daisy. That's really appreciated, and I'm glad someone likes the tentacles. I really am. Really glad. Thank you. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Yes, of
Energy
course.
bills in this country are expected to go up by 40%. But that's not going to get any easier if there's nothing to stop those prices going up. And the reason why is because energy companies, they admitted during coronavirus they were making more money than they knew what to do with it because they weren't paying employees because there was no one at work. They were still able to make tens of billions, and they even admitted they didn't know what to do with the money. Many have suggested a windfall tax on those profits, which would create a rather nice chunk of money to then give back to those who've had their bills hiked. Thing is, that money, all those profits, came from those bills being hiked in the first place. Unless you were recouping what was paid, you're not really going to be helping the customer. You need to find a way to get those bills down. While they're protecting their profit margin, the people are being hurt. Simple as that. And the problem is, the windfall tax wouldn't work because companies will simply move out of this country. They will do that. There is a power balance at the moment, and I think it should come down to who's going to blink first. The government have to be strong on this. If they don't look strong, they're not going to go for it. I can walk around and pick up coal, you lucky bastard. We don't. We have coal, but we don't have access to much of it these days. We are trying to push more in the green direction as we push for things like by 2030, cigarettes and all that crap will be gone. That's what they think. They're going to try and do that by making it more and more expensive, taxing it heavier. I think they're reducing the duty on alcohol and a couple other things, I believe, so tax on that as well. And it's all well and good getting extra money from taxes that they're able to generate it from, but if I remember correct,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The idea of trying to phase out cigarettes
in this country, it's
is so
almost plausible.
laughable. It's pain.
In this country, it's actually plausible. In this one, because we've been doing it
You
for
think?
the last 15 years, it's been working. More and more people are going towards vapes in the UK. That's not to say it will go entirely, but I think because of the taxes they're introducing and making it more and more expensive, to buy a packet of cigarettes compared to when I was a teenager has gone up 4 times. Four times. You can get 4 packs back then for what you can get now. And I think it is yielding a result of just discouraging younger people from getting involved in smoking. Instead, just vape instead. But you are right. But we're not as invested in the tobacco companies. That's another thing. We're not as interested in that. They don't have packaging that looks like cigarette packs anymore. They all look like they're covered in cancer, which is the point. It's not really. It's still popular, of course it is. But I don't think if their plan is to phase it out the way they want to, the only way they're going to do it is by making it almost impossible to acquire it, cost-wise. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I just think that at that point, people will just I don't know what it's like in the UK, but in America, what people would do is they would just buy a cigarette roller and buy loose leaf tobacco.
Oh, that's what my sister. She has tobacco and she just rolls them herself.
Yeah,
because then she can do prison bars and make it last longer.
Because at that point, then you're not really fixing the problem. You're just making it so that no company can benefit from it, which I don't think is the goal per se.
Well, tobacco companies don't really benefit us. As far as economy, the ones that do are the energy companies at the moment. They're the ones we need to get their bills down, especially if our intention is to go further green, so we don't need them anymore. And they know this. Those energy companies know this. So they're trying to. That's another reason they're forcing the prices up, is because it's a power play. Oi, we'll take the prices down a bit if you slow down your energy renewal ideas, which isn't going to work. This country is going to get more and more solar panels, which is not remotely green when you make them. But what do I know?
Correct.
I'm just the guy who did chemistry at uni and knows bloody well how they make them. It's just. Yeah, as the country goes further in that direction, it is unlikely that these companies that control gas and oil are going to want to play ball because they're going to be like, yo, we've got what you need, but we're going to now charge you to the teeth for it.
I don't know if that's necessarily going to help you. I mean, I understand the green initiative thing. We have a similar, initiative
it's just
here.
we're a smaller country though, so it's a very different situation.
Well, right, but what I mean is like we have obviously a similar situation here,
Yeah.
but our situation when it comes to like green energy is that we're trying to basically we're not really even like getting down to the point where we can actually make green energy. It sounds almost more like we're just trying to pass the buck as long as fucking possible.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But that's what
I don't think we're actually doing good right
now. I know that it's a part of the power play why energy prices are going up, and Rishi's budget's interesting. As a self-employed individual, the tax bar going up is good, but that comes into effect for me next tax year, not this tax year. That's about to swing on the 5th of April. It ends and starts or whatever. But we're a smaller country with strong national interests in business. We are, which is why we've taken great interest in a company called P&O who do ferries, who simply fired all of their staff and replaced them with staff from some other country in Europe for less than minimum wage, which has been now discovered to have been 100% unlawful. And I can't wait, because you know what that means? Because they didn't properly notify the UK government of their intentions, which I'll now explain why. I'm going to do this in the EOSPs, but I may use this clip actually. P&O recently in a committee hearing admitted the reason why they did it wasn't just to save money, was because they knew that when they offered all their staff a pay cut, the unions would say no. And the reason they didn't tell the government was because they also knew they'd say no. So, knowing that they weren't going to get their own way from two separate departments, which I'll be honest, under UK law they had to abide our law anyway, they decided to fire 800 people and just hire much cheaper labour. Well then, under UK law, because of that, we get to fine you millions. And since you get millions from us, you fucking greedy cunts, we're going to take it all back. Straight up, we're going to take it all back, you colossal fuckknuckles. Greedy, greedy pricks. And you deserve all the loss you're going to take for this, because honestly, and it's, yes, Renovatio, not the fault of the staff, you're 100% correct. It is not the fault of the new people, not even slightly. This is entirely the fault of P&O, and P&O now have to pay the piper for it. And I say this, I hold the business responsible in all instances. Local in Kent, we have Rooks, the butchers, they went into administration because the descendants of John Rook, who created the company, the butchers, in fact, the more recent descendants, they didn't run the business at all. They didn't want to. They wanted the money. So they ran the business into the ground and took all the money the business had. And when the business went bankrupt, they walked away with their millions, knowing it won't last anyway because they're idiots, thinking that that's all they need, not thinking about the future, because if they were smart, they would have kept it in the family, made money from it for the rest of their lives, knowing they could have done something that contributed and benefited thousands of people, and also made a decent, tidy sum throughout their lifetime. But idiots are idiots.
What? Long-term thinking? Who does that?
I know, right? I think about this all the time. I wish I could do something like that. But you know what? Retards all think alike. They're just like, yo, but I got 6 million. I'm good. Alright, go enjoy your life, and when that money runs out, just remember you put thousands of people out of work. You're a prick, and you can now go join them on the breadline. Dickheads. Yep. So, as we're nearing the end of this stream, Russia, they're still at it.
Yeah, they are.
Should we just end it on that?
I mean,
they want to end this by a certain date in May. when World War II ended, and
Yeah.
I think
I'm not
it's
sure
I
that's
don't
gonna happen.
no, I don't think it is. There are many different conflicting reports right now. Um, some saying that Russia is stalling, some saying Russia's phase one is successful and they're moving on to chemicals next and more carpet bombs and napalm and whatever, or whatever it is. I don't think it's napalm, but I'm sure there's something.
No, no.
No,
Napalm would be a very aggressive war crime at this point.
at this point that would be isn't that a breach of the Geneva Convention?
Yes, but many things that they've done could be considered that.
Yeah, I know Biden announced that all sanctions against Russia will last for at least a year. That's interesting. I
Hmm.
saw that Navalny, who had challenged Putin, he was in opposition in Russia. He got 13 years in a labor camp prison on top of his original
Oh,
2-year sentence. After he was lucky to even survive this, he got poisoned with something, a chemical used during Soviet times.
oh, I remember this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. True.
Right? He got 13 years for some kind of espionage charges that are all trumped up. No pun intended. Like legit, completely fabricated. And the guy looks like a shallow shell of himself. But he has said he will not take back anything he said. He means every single word of it. I fucking love it. By the way, don't know if he would have been a good president for Russia. We know very little about him. All we know is he's very much against Putin, and Putin has clearly had this guy poisoned. Seriously, who the
Yeah.
fuck has access to Soviet-era poisons? Like, only he does.
Well, I don't necessarily know if that's true. I'm sure that
Come on, in the context of
our
this,
special
sure,
forces
be
might
that.
have some
I'm
shit.
sure we can, be that kind of person. But in the context of this, it's too unlikely.
Oh yeah,
that
no,
there's
it's
anything-
almost too easy
Yeah.
to pin it, right?
Yeah,
But
and
that's
but you're
why
right.
that's why my skepticism comes out. It's like
That's
too
quite.
fucking
You're right to say that. But I do think Putin did it. Quite frankly, I don't think.
Oh
anyone-
yeah, totally.
And so he got 13 years for his crimes. Sure.
Mhm.
I know that Volodymyr Zelensky's wife, for Mother's Day, made a statement, and she had said that to Russian mothers, how does it feel knowing you're sending your sons to do this? But I know that there's there's a huge inequality thing in Russia. A lot of in some of the regions and states, I guess, women are less than men in a lot of those states. Very old-fashioned.
Well, some of those places in Russia are actually they kind of look like they're frozen in time.
Well, yeah, they don't move on. They don't get the state support. And I've seen a fair few. I was watching them during the week, actually. These videos of people who it's almost. It looked almost Amish, but not. You
Mhm.
know. And
That's exactly how I would describe it.
but with a complete lack of education and a lack of medical support. So Amish and but Russian, but I don't even want to say Russian because it's obviously it was a republic, wasn't it? It was many different countries put together, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd rather recognize it as that. I think in my head I was so with all this bollocks going on, I was thinking on the way to work earlier, I was like, oh, what would happen? How would this end that would resolve it in such a way that could, in some way yield an outcome that would be beneficial to the planet, to the wider, And I was like, well, that's easy. You take away all that you cut that country back down into separate republics again or states, and you give them back their power as to govern themselves.
Yeah, but sometimes when you do that, they don't actually end up.
Oh, I know,
thriving.
I know that. But in my head, I was like, yes, but Russia, as an entity, is the problem. Well, the person in the Kremlin is the problem because of all the land and all the people they control. You have to take that away. And what happens next? Yes, has to happen organically. It was just an idea in my head, and I know it could never happen. By the way, just to say, it's unlikely. I know it is. I know Russia is still. They're currently in the process
Well, I mean,
of.
you'd have to go back in time. Like a lot of the countries that became like the USSR, at
Yeah.
this point have broken back into independent countries. I mean, if you're talking about like just like Russia from history, that thing was huge
Yeah.
for hundreds of
So I,
decades.
I just wanna
Fucking
just gonna insert this now.
czars and
It was
kings.
just a thought in my head. I have not fleshed anything out like that. It was just in my head. I was like, oh, I'll put it on stream and see what people think for a second. I've
Yeah,
not given it
I
any
mean,
more
I
thought
get it. I
beyond
get the
that.
idea. If you
Um,
break it up, like kind of how Rome did.
yeah, fuck it. Just I'm gonna cut you up into 3 pieces now. Good luck with that. Good luck going forward. I know that Russia had indicated that it is now in the process of securing regions in Ukraine that they wanted, which I assume is all of it anyway. But in the areas they'd already controlled,
Mm-hmm.
the loyal opposition, Russia isn't attacking Kyiv at all. I will defer to your superior knowledge on this. Scaring the corporate crowd. This has the effect of making them feel they need the unwashed. China. Interestingly, you mentioned China there. I noticed, and I guess fuck it, I'm done with Russia already now. Just to talk about China. Keanu Reeves, he has had his movies removed from being able to be streamed in China. Do you know why?
No.
Because he supports Tibet.
Oh well.
They don't
Oh
like
well.
that he said that. They do not like it at
Good.
all, and he's like, I don't give a shit.
Good. I knew Keanu was based.
Everyone, well, is he not the internet's boyfriend? Is that what they call him?
I have heard.
They said it to him in front of him, and he cringed so much. He was so
Oh, of
uncomfortable
course.
by it.
I mean, I don't blame him. That is a very cringy thing. But yes, we all love that man.
Yeah. If I was the Chinese, right? So there is there was a recent NATO meeting, and a bunch of the world leaders were there. No doubt they did discuss Ukraine and Russia. And what I found fascinating was that when they did it, they all went to stand on their little steps to take a photo together. Boris had clearly got there early, and so when people were turning up, he wasn't able to shake anyone's hands because they were all being friendly and talking to each other and ignoring him. And Boris was like that one kid, hands in pocket, looking around, really confused, happy but really confused.
Oh, poor guy. I almost feel bad.
I felt bad, but then I realized it's Boris, and I'm like, I don't think he cares. I think he's just
Yeah, well,
happy.
that's how I felt about
I think he's just happy that
too.
his wife let him out for a change. It's a
Hmm.
shame.
Does she wear the pants? I don't know enough about Boris.
She runs the country. So yes. Um, yes. Is there anything you'd like to add with regards to what's been going on with Ukraine, Russia?
I mean, okay, so the things that I've been hearing about Ukraine, like the biggest issue is that I don't know who's telling the truth anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
What I do know is that y'all need to fucking turn off your phones. You keep getting people killed. Now I know that actually has been a contentious topic on Lay Reddit,
Has it?
because people don't believe that Russia has the ability to geolocate you based on your metadata on pictures and videos that you post up online, which makes me really sad as like a professional in like computing fields. Um, because it's like, yes, no, that is definitely a thing that can happen, and if you just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean it's not real.
La 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 la.
Um,
Don't know what you're talking about. La la la. That's what it is.
Basically, yeah, and so a lot of that is just it's frustrating.
Understandably so. When people don't, well, annoyingly, we're in this position where our news is being very, it's saturated. If I go to like the BBC right now, go to the homepage,
Mm,
everything is Russia, Ukraine.
mm-hmm.
Everything. If I go to any other news source in this country, it will mostly be that. And now it's very concerning because we don't know how much of it is true and how much of it is just sensationalist or how much of it is Well, it's the BBC. How much of it's fake?
Well, right, and that's one of the biggest concerns that I've had going through this whole thing because I don't know, from my point of view, like, okay, like what Renovatio had said earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says that his friends are there and that Ukraine's doing better. Cool, awesome.
Glad they are. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool, awesome, great to hear. The problem that I have is that okay, cool. Now, why would anybody say otherwise? Now, this could mean any manner of things. This could mean, why aren't they, what's going on in the south of Ukraine with Odessa and Crimea and Mariupol? Like those places, still pretty fucked, from what I understand.
Wasn't Odessa recently bombed?
I don't know.
I think it was recently attacked. If I remember correctly from the news, it was very recently attacked. Sorry, I've moved away from the microphone. Yeah, recently attacked. If
Right.
not,
But there's a whole bunch of fuckery going on down there.
yeah,
So I keep hearing mixed messaging that Ukraine is winning, but also Ukraine is losing. Both of which can be true at the same time. You might be losing on one front but winning on another. I don't know. But it becomes very difficult to listen to.
yeah,
Because I can't tell you which is which is real, which is fake, which at that point makes it very difficult for me to even like accept what you're telling me at all is true.
mm-hmm.
And that part is still frustrating to this day. Almost, I think we're well past 30 days of this war,
Yeah.
and I simply don't have enough concrete information because everyone is trying to win their own personal political war.
Well, if anyone can get some brownie points out of it, of course, can't hate the player.
Right. But other than that, no, I don't really have much else to add to this Ukraine nonsense. I call it nonsense, but it's more the reporting around it is nonsense. So I'm not going to contribute to it.
Very well. As we've reached the end of this stream, then, is there anything you'd like to promote?
My Twitch channel is still a thing that I do, and if you want to go there, I would very much appreciate it.
You'll put it in the
I
chat for
will
you in a
pull.
minute.
I am. I'm getting that.
Fantastic. I should be streaming on Omegon Plays YouTube channel tomorrow. On this channel,
Boom, nailed it.
at the bottom of the page, there'll be 3 channels linked: Omegon, Omegon Plays, and Moist Ski Reads. Omegon Plays, I do trucking simulator games. So if I am streaming, it'll be there tomorrow. Otherwise, no. I'm going to cough and do nothing. Probably play the GTA Definitive Edition on my Switch.
Woo!
Yeah, I arrived today. I was very excited. We should, unless Trups isn't here, be back next week.
I should be here.
Woohoo! So thank you all very much for joining. Thank you, Bloke with Superpowers, for the donation. That's very kind of you. Thank you to everyone that's watched and liked. And we'll see you next time. So say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.